just want to say thanks for being on the show.
Happy to be here, man. Go ahead with your question.
Go ahead, Fast Eddie.
I think we might have lost him there. I don't see him in the chat anymore, so if he fell off, if he comes back, I'll take him to the head of the line. So let's go ahead with Southern Liberty's question.
Jack, in reference to, we can assume that there's people in here in the room that don't have even a modest income and are actually having to live very cheaply because of income. Let's assume yourself, if you were very limited income and not getting into any emergency medications or anything like that, but just specifically on food, what would you recommend as a necessary food to supply you with nutrition along with water?
You know, you're asking kind of a tough question. I don't know if you're asking me for a single food source or a primary food source, but I will tell you this: as long as you add a little bit of protein to the mix, you can go a long way on pasta, beans, and rice for a very little bit of money. And one of my favorite talk show hosts, Dave Ramsey, says when you're in a hard way financially or trying to get out of a hard way financially, eat beans and rice and beans. But I'm going to tell you, add some real protein to that and make that a good basis for what you're doing. And yeah, grass is a complete protein. It's really a complete protein there, after we feed it to cattle and let them convert it for us. But I know what you mean. But that's what I would really stick to. I would stick to maybe that as a primary basis. But it's not the best thing nutritionally long term, but it'll get you by, and put as much variety into that as possible. And I'm gonna let the mic back open and ask you if you want to like clarify or ask me, make me be a little more specific, give me a little more direction, and if not, then we'll go on to the next one.
Well, I guess that's exactly what I was asking. Nothing really specific. I guess I do focus on like beans and rice and stuff like that. That I do recommend people to purchase if they don't have the income to go beyond and get canned foods and such as this. Because I know for a fact that in Vietnam, a Viet Cong can sit up in a tree 60 foot high for 4 or 5 days with a bag of rice, with a pouch of rice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, pasta, beans, and rice, cheap, easy to store, and they don't need a lot of other things to at least keep you alive. Again, I would try to add some real protein to the mix with that. And, anybody that is kind of in a hard way, so to speak, don't think I don't understand. Don't think I haven't been there. My life's pretty good now, but it's because I built it up that way. When I first moved down to Texas after I got out of the Army, I made $6 an hour for quite a long time, and I worked really hard for that $6. And like I said, I grew up poor, so I know what it is to be that way. Make sure you do, if you have any land available, even if it's begged, borrowed, or stealed for the purpose, look at growing some food too, and understand something about beans. If you're storing beans, you're storing seeds. And you can put a bean in the ground and make more beans. And it's not always the easiest way to earn your bread, so to speak, but there is something to be said for being able to grow some of your own food. And learn to forage as well if you have the opportunity in your area. There's a tremendous amount of stuff that's available out there you can just go pick up. And if you start learning where food is in the wild, you can also do some very simple things to improve it, like adding mulch, clearing out competing vegetation, where you're not really gardening, you're just improving the environment. So let's go ahead and take the next question. I got Mr. Fusion 70 there.
Yeah, his question's in blue text, if you can see it right there. Yeah, I think sometimes we get caught up. I've been doing this for quite some time, right along with Jack. I don't know Jack. I've studied under other people. But it's sound advice. And remember, people, you can't accumulate all these things all at once. Even on a modest income, it's just one step at a time. You can do it. You'd be amazed over 5, 4, 3 years what even a blue-collar person can put away for his family's future. So, and heirloom seeds. Stay away from the the GMO Franken seeds that Monsanto's is putting out there. They don't germinate from year to year, so the farmers are forced to go out and buy new seed. You want heirloom seeds, people. All right, and I'll hand the mic back.
All right, cool. And the question there, my question is, should I focus on paying down my credit card debt before hyperinflation sets in, or is it okay to carry along and pay it down with hyperinflated money? I know having a credit card debt is bad no matter what. I'm in a good position, or start hacking away at it now. But should I use that money for other things instead? Thanks, Jack. I am the credit card Nazi. I believe that all the people that make credit cards should be buried in little holes in the ground. I'm not that bad, but really, I do really think that any debt that you're carrying is bad. I see it like a cancer. I see it eating away at your life. And what I'll tell you, if you say, well, I could take some of the money now and invest in my preparedness and some of the money on debt, pay attention to what's going on. If we ever look like we're in the final countdown, so to speak, you can always put the money back on the freaking credit card if we end up in an emergency. But if you get rid of the debt and you get rid of all of it, and I mean, if you're really paying on it with a commitment, the day you write the last check, you'll give it the bird when you put it in the mailbox, and you'll feel better than you ever had in your life. And you will be amazed at how much money you'll be able to save and how much you'll be able to invest after the day that you pay off that last debt. And if you do it that way, and if you feel it a little bit, and if it hurts a little bit when you're doing it, you know what will happen? You will absolutely never, ever, 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 ever do it again. So get rid of the debt. On the suggestion there from our moderator with the seeds, I want to comment on that for a second. Definitely stay away from genetically modified seeds. I do want to explain, because this is important, because there's a lot of people out there selling seeds now that they haven't been modified or tampered with in any way, and people get the idea that a hybrid seed is somehow equivalent to a genetically modified seed. A hybrid seed and a GMO seed are two entirely different things. A hybrid is exactly what it sounds like. Take variety A of a pepper and variety B of a pepper, and I cross-pollinate them, and I get a hybrid. In the first generation, I'll get some sort of hybrid vigor. Maybe it's got more resistance to something. Maybe it grows bigger. Maybe it grows larger. Most hybrids, though, in the second, third generations, they start to decline, and they don't produce reliable reproduction. So a hybrid is something you don't want to rely on for saving seed, but it's not inherently evil. If it has been genetically tampered with, that means a scientist took a trait, a genetic modified trait, used a virus as a carrier, a trait that doesn't belong there from an unrelated species, like taking a gene from a fish and putting it into corn. That's the type of thing these sick, twisted people are doing. That you got to stay away from. Hybrids are okay, but understand that you're going to have to replenish that seed supply. Let's go ahead and take the next question from Scramblin'. Scramblin', if you don't have a mic, drop it into the chat room. I'll try to pay attention this time. Okay, Scramblin' says, your thoughts on physical metal inside an IRA? I'm happy with the returns and believe it's safer than a stock or bond, but think it's vulnerable to general 401k IRA confiscation as they try to bail out Social Security. I do think there's a potential term for a lot of money in the IRA 401k world to get hijacked. I would not use it at all, but I sure as hell, and I've always advised, even before I thought of this or saw rumblings about it, don't put all of your savings, all of your wealth into tax-deferred investments. You might need some in the next 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, depending on how old you are. This is what I'm afraid is going to happen to a lot of the 401k IRA type wealth long term. I think our government is going to use the next big crisis to try to sell to people that your money's not necessarily safe in 401ks and IRAs, and that 25% of it or 50% of it or some percentage of it needs to be taken hostage and put into United States Treasury bonds, which are safe and backed by the full faith of the United States government. And that they'll give you a guaranteed interest rate of like 3 or 4% or something like that, and your money will be safe. And that they'll put that money there for you, and then when you hit retirement age, it will be paid to you as an annuity, and even if fully depleted, they'll guarantee it for the rest of your life. What does that sound like? A new version of Social Security designed to replace in some way or augment in some way Social Security. A personally funded pension plan that the government gets to spend on all their crap and bullshit. So I would definitely hedge on that. Here's the thing. If this happens, it's going to be very hard. Listen to this one, Navy guy. It's going to be very, very hard for them to do it with the money already in the system. They would like to, but there are people who, when you do it to their grandmother, will literally go to Washington, D.C. and grab congressmen and senators by the neck and haul them out into the street, third world style, and string them up from some of those cherry trees outside the White House. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to pull that one off. They may have to grandfather the money that's already there. They may not. What I'm saying is pay attention to it, and if it looks like they're going to do it, pay the penalty and get your money out. But don't avoid these vehicles. They have a purpose. They have a use. And one of the things that you really need to look at doing, if you're going to do tax deferral, I really recommend Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks over conventional ones. Yes, I'll pay the tax today, but this crap that your financial advisor tells you, well, oh, but when you retire, you'll have a lower income and you'll be at a lower tax rate, so the conventional one, bullshit. Because you don't know what the tax rates are going to be 20 years from now, and neither does he. He doesn't. Most financial advisors, folks, are complete freaking idiots. They have no idea what they're doing. They're relationship salespeople. Take the known versus the unknown. Because here's the secret. If you use a Roth vehicle, you can get all of your money out if you fill the forms out the right way that you contributed without interest and penalty and without tax. The money that you've appreciated, you're going to pay penalties and tax if you take it out early. But all of the base investment you can get out. I think it's a great hedge for the future. Let's go ahead and take the next question. This one's going to be Mike Keck, 1969. Again, if you don't have a mic, go ahead and drop it in for me.